What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. I'm here with Gab and Maui, and as you can see, hindi kami hindi kami masaya ngayon. We're gonna talk about Gilas again, pero uh, it's a more somber note because obviously we lost to Brazil. That ends the dream run for our dream for making it to the Olympics in Paris, but we'll still talk about it. You know, it was still a surprisingly good run. So we'll talk about what happened against Brazil and maybe talk about key takeaways from this entire experience and what's next for Gila. So please stay tuned. Hope you enjoy this discussion. But before that, let us talk about our sponsors for today, Gab.
So this episode, despite being a sad episode, is brought to you by Cotton Club Underwear and NYC Underwear. Cotton Club. I love it here. There you go. Get your sandos, boys. Uh, Promise, in one episode, mapapasando ko tong dalawang to. Mapapasando ko tong dalawang to.
We shall see. We shall see.
For our sponsors. For our sponsor, we'll do it. Promise, one episode. Sige.
Antayin
Ako, nag-comment na ako, ha?
Antayin natin yung mga sando. Yeah, so by the way, coincidence lang na naka yellow, green, blue, and red kami, maroon, if you would say. So medyo Pilipinas colors tayo. We're going to talk about Gilas. I guess initial reactions from you guys. We were super hyped, excited. We had hope. How was the performance today against Brazil? Gab, let's start with you.
Well, I can't get over my emotions. I have to clear my mind. It's
Kakatapos
really
lang ng game, guys.
It's really just right
very
after
fresh.
I'm very,
fresh
very
pa.
sad, of course.
Yeah.
I was there. I was so hyped. The feeling natin yung hype ng Gilas. But we fall short against Brazil. Yeah, it was. Listen, the first half, I thought we got shots that we wanted, or even if we didn't want those shots, we found ways to get shots. And Justin Brownlee was being shadowed a lot. They made it a point. I think that was Brazil's game plans. We are not gonna give Justin Brownlee any airspace to operate. We're going to stick to Justin Brownlee. If he gets past his main guy, we're going to send a second defender at him. If he calls for a pick and roll, we're going to blitz. We're not going to let him take control of the game. And you saw that his first 2 threes were coming off ball movement. It was not his usual pick and roll or one-on-one ability that he could get to his spot. Those weren't his usual shots. So you could see that Brazil really made it hit their game plan to limit or at least make Justin Brownlee work. And I thought we started off pretty well. Dwight Ramos scored 8 points in the first quarter. Hit 2 threes. You hit a jumper. Junmar was holding his own against Bruno Caboclo. And that's where the worry started with me, is because of course, the biggest story of this game for Team Philippines is Kai Sotto was not available to play. Dun pa lang medyo
we were hoping na he would be available, no? There were news na wala na wala namang fractures or anything from the injury, but I guess it was still a bad injury, no? Anyway,
30 minutes before the game lang, I think Kai Sotto was ruled out 30 minutes before the game because apparently every movement daw ni Kai Sotto, he was feeling pain. So they decided, I think Kai Sotto decided he might not be able to help. So he decided to rule himself out for the game.
Yeah, and
mahirap din naman yun. Oo nga.
Mahirap din naman. And yeah, so before I move on, I took a look at some of the public sentiment online from the netizens out there regarding Kai Sotto. And Kai Sotto was taking a lot of hate. Taking a lot of hits because...
Totoo ba?
Yeah! I mean, just look at the comments on various posts about Gilas. They were digging on Kai Sotto. They thought he should have played. I've suffered a bruised rib. I've suffered a fractured rib. It is very painful. So, if you saw what happened to Kai Sotto, a 7-foot NBA center in Goga Bitadze fell right on top of him. So I will defend Kai Soto. Given that I've experienced a similar injury, it is very, very painful.
Hindi
You
ka rin
might say,
makatulog ng maayos, lalo na kung side
Oh.
sleeper ka di
At
ba?
saka grabe naman yun, di ba? I mean, si Kai Soto, he played injured nung FIBA World Cup. I think that was proven when he didn't play against a B-League because of that back injury. I don't think Kai Soto did not want to play just because of an injury today, di ba?
Yeah. Especially since he played so well during the first game against Latvia. He wants to show up.
It's his showcase. Why will not show up, di ba? Why will not play?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense why will not play. So it must have been pretty painful. And I'm telling you, any significant bruise or fracture to a rib, it's even painful to breathe in heavy.
Totoo yan.
Guys. So
Na-experience ko na rin yan.
To all the Filipino fans out there, to all the Gilas fans, please wag natin gatungan, wag natin pagtripan si Kai Soto. Just because hindi siya naglaro. I'm sure if he wanted to play, he could have. Right? So just as an aside. So anyway, back to the game. As I said, we started well in the first half. As Maui said, suerte that Brazil was not hitting their threes. They had a ton of wide open looks, I think, in the first quarter. They just couldn't hit them. Same thing in the second, couldn't hit them. And the Philippines just kept on going. I think the bench was pretty good. I liked what we got from the bench, in spite of it all. But yeah, in the second half was really the story. That was what did Gilas.
Actually, the third quarter. Third quarter, talagang deadly.
Yeah, 6-point third quarter. Gilas doing their best De La Salle Green Archers impersonation.
Or Ateneo. Or Ateneo impersonation.
Scoring 6 points in the third quarter. That was just painful. And you could see the adjustment that Brazil made, especially on the defensive end in that third quarter. They denied nearly every action. They were physical. Bruno Caboclo protected the rim with reckless abandon. I thought Bruno was unbelievable in that second half, especially in that third quarter. What else?
Hindi na binalik si Felicio. Hindi na binalik si Felicio, di ba? Dire-diretso na si Caboclo.
Dire-diretso na si Caboclo. And I thought the defense by Jorginho de Depola on Justin Brownlee in that second half was freaking amazing. There were also some comments that I saw, mukhang yung naubusan na si Justin Brownlee or napagod. I don't think that was the reason. I just think that Jorginho de Paula was on him the entire second half. It wasn't Mendel anymore. I think Mendel was the one who was defending him in the first half. In second half, it was Jorginho de Paula, and he did a hell of a job on Justin Brown. Nothing came easy for JB. Nothing. Every drive, De Paula, you moved his feet, blocked his driving lanes, everything. Every pass that he got, he was there up in his face contesting. And Justin Brown just couldn't get it going at any point in this game. And that did Gilas, especially in that second half. We couldn't score at all. In the paint, we couldn't get past the rim protection of Caboclo. On the perimeter, just the defensive intensity, the movement of the feet by Brazil just to keep themselves in front of every Gilas Pilipinas guard or wing player. What a defensive effort by Brazil. And I think in the third quarter and even in the fourth, well, especially later in the third quarter, nakita natin yung limitation ni Junmar. No? As much as Junmar held his own against Bruno Caboclo, mas bata at mas athletic si Caboclo. And I think a ton of times, especially late in that third quarter, Caboclo just beat Junmar down the floor multiple times. As Junmar's old, he's not that quick, he's not that fast. And nakita, a ton of touches were given to Caboclo on the break. You know, he got that N1 over Justin Brownlee. He got that dunk. So, yeah, Bruno Caboclo did a wonderful job in that third. And Brazil started hitting their threes. Diba? Sabi mo, Maui, the first half, Brazil couldn't hit their threes. Second half, they started hitting their threes. In the fourth quarter, can I just say that Laker legend Marcelino Huertas just killed us. I thought we should have gone zone. Honestly, the zone worked for us in the game against Georgia. I thought, especially in the third quarter, not late in the third quarter, even start of the fourth, we could have started playing zone because that's when Marcelino Huertas just killed us. Pick and roll after pick and roll, getting to his spot, dishing it to Caboclo or to Diaz for easy baskets, or dishing it to a wing in Lozada. Just Marcelino Huertas, man. I'm gonna borrow a
41 years old.
Yeah, I'm gonna borrow a phrase from one of the commentators. He's looked like he's aged like fine wine because what a masterful job they did in that fourth quarter. Grabe. Pick and roll. Just look at every action they ran in that fourth quarter. It was all Marcelino Huertas pick and roll over and over and over. And that's when I thought that, hey, they should have gone zone. They should have gone zone. Just take them out of their groove, take them out of their comfort zone. That did the thing in Georgia. Georgia was not used to playing against a zone, and it disrupted their rhythm. It disrupted the way they were playing throughout the first half. I thought we should have gone zone, but Coach Tim stuck with man, and Marcelino Huertas made us pay. Just a genius all-around job. Yeah, grabe. And that's how Brazil played actually throughout the entire game. Just repeatedly, a lot of pick and roll. Whether if it was with Huertas or whether if it was with Yago, who's their small guard off the bench, just pick and roll and pick and roll and pick and roll and pick and roll, and eventually, naubo si Junmar eh. Hindi na niya kaya i-defend si Caboclo, especially running down the floor, and in that pick and roll, wala na. My worst fears were realized in that fourth. Naubo si Junmar. He had a double-double, 10 out of 10. I praise Junmar. He held his own, but lumabas yung difference in youth, lumabas yung difference in athleticism. And it's just sad. I love that the Philippines fought till the end. No, I love that Carl Tamayo, you hit the three late. CJ Perez got an attack. They were still trying to get this as close as possible, but shots just hit, just went in for Brazil, and when that happens, you can't do anything. Because you always have to give up something on the defensive end. And we gave up the pick and roll and the three and the mid range by Huertas, and they made us pay. It's a sad end, but I'm still very proud that this Gilas team fought. Maui, your takes.
Yeah. I think first off, I would like to say lang that this was an incredible run by Gilas Pilipinas. Nonetheless, despite the loss today, we did not expect naman to get to the Olympics, number one. Number two, we did not expect to win any games. I think that was the expectations that was set at the beginning, diba? Even Coach Tim mentioned in one of his press conferences that they had a ticket already after the second game, so it was fortunate that they were able to advance. But Gab gave a very thorough analysis of the game. I really thought that if Kai Soto was there, it probably could have been a different game. Si Caboclo kasi is fortunate enough to have Cristiano Felicio also to back him up, which also took a toll on Junmar. I thought that Japet was unplayable at times during the games, as I've mentioned to you guys. They just have enough depth, yung Brazil. They have a ton of players who have had NBA experience. They have a lot of wing players who are athletic, long. I think that gave a lot of our wing players problems during the game. Si Kiambao only played a handful of minutes. Si Dwight Ramos wasn't able to really get into a groove during the whole second half, even passing up a few three-pointers that he should have probably taken. I would say even Newsome did not find the groove in the second half. it looks like si CJ Perez lang ang medyo bright spot. Brownlee was also shut down during the second half. Brazil they just did a really good job. Their coach is very good. He's had a ton of experience. There's a reason why Brazil has been the comeback kings, di ba? During this Olympic qualifiers. All of their games they've trailed. Even the game against Cameroon, they trailed by more than 20 points, only to come back and make it to the semifinals. This team has a lot of veterans mixed with a lot of young players like Caboclo and Huertas. But si Huertas was really impressive, especially during the second half. In the fourth quarter specifically, I didn't know why. I'm with Gab. Maybe Gilas had to find another defensive scheme, try to play zone, or try to find another way. Huertas was just picking us apart with that pick and roll, whether whoever was the roll man, whoever was the one setting the pick. There were times that they were even doing, two guys who were setting the picks, and Huertas could choose whether to go left or right. Brazil really had a good adjustments during the second half. There's a reason why, as I mentioned, they are the comeback kings. They showed during the third quarter. That was probably the first time we've seen this Gilas team really struggle with Coach Tim, diba? They scored 6 points versus Brazil's 24 points. They couldn't get anything going. It was like Ateneo, to be honest, playing that third quarter. A lot of forced shots at the end of the shot clock, a lot of turnovers, a lot of bad picks set that led to offensive fouls. I think that played a big part also why Junmar and Brownlee had to fight foul trouble. But yeah, unfortunately, in the end, I think we really lacked yung we lacked yung number of players. We had 10 players, but Amos wasn't being utilized during this run. So that's basically 9 players, diba? When we lost Kai Soto, we basically had to play Brownlee at the 4, which during the Team Cone era in Gilas, we haven't seen much. If you've been following yung Gilas during the past few weeks, most of their games, they usually play big with 2 bigs and Brownlee playing at the 3 and Dwight Ramos playing at the 2. Kanina, we even had to go to a Perez and Newsome lineup, diba? Because we really lacked ball handlers, we really lacked an offensive hub. Despite all I think losing Kai Soto was very big, not just on the defensive end and on our rebounding. I really thought that we lost another part of our offense, diba? Kasi when we can't go to Junmar, when we can't go to Brownlee, we usually go to Kai Soto at the high post, or usually try to post him up or get some pick and roll and lob. Another option is a lob threat. So that was very big. We could have imposed our might if Kai Soto was there. So it could have been a different story. But at the end of the day, I'm still proud. I'm still proud with what Gilas has accomplished. I think the most important thing that they accomplished a while ago is that they really still played their hearts out, despite being only 10 players, diba? And playing a ton of games. I think what we showed is, I don't want to use the word puso anymore because this is a different iteration of Gilas. I want to probably say that they were resilient all tournament long, including especially during the game against Georgia, diba? If you watch our last episode, we were very proud because they fought to get back into the game, not just to get that margin, but to give us a chance to win another game against a European team. I just thought that today yung third quarter was too brutal. This Gilas team has averaged, I think, 91 points during the tournament. Around 22 daw per quarter. But in the third quarter, they only scored 6 points, and that was just too brutal of a quarter for us to be able to dig out of the hole. And Brazil is too experienced. They have veterans like Huertas that can control the game when they have the lead. We should be leading if we are to be able to upset a team that is as good as Brazil. That's what I think, Sam.
Yeah, may kita nyo, Huertas, grabe. Di ba we were just joking nung last episode na nagulat tayo na buhay pa yun. He's still part of the lineup. Parang, Huertas nasa lineup pa, but you can see he can still be very effective, especially
41 and strong.
I know, diba? Samantalang si Thibault, 'di ba? Didn't even make the Australia team. But anyway, that's another story. Talking about the injuries, you guys you mentioned we were basically 9 deep, 'di ba? We lost Kai Soto. And one of the commenters I think during the previous podcast also mentioned basically forgot about like Malonzo also. Ako personally, I forgot about Malonzo.
AJ Edu, kay Malonzo. Diba?
Na-mention lang natin si Edu, I think last episode, and si Scotty Thompson, but si Malonzo din wala. So really coming in pa lang this tournament, Gab, you mentioned Tim Cone didn't even expect to win, to make it to the semifinals. But I think coming in, ano na tayo may disadvantage na because we weren't even complete, diba? So I think given everything that has happened, I think it was still a good fight. I think it was really just that third quarter na medyo nasayang. I would say like when we started the fourth quarter, nabuhayan pa na onte. I think we had like a 5-0 run before Brazil started scoring. So there was still a chance. It wasn't that big of a lead. I think it was just really that third quarter. I think if I'm not mistaken, on third quarter they had like a 16-0 run or something like that yung Brazil. So it just can't happen against a team like Brazil. So, it's wala.
It was a 14-0 run, Sam.
14-0 run ba? Okay.
It was 41-33 when we finally got our first basket.
Yeah. Isipin mo na lang, Cameroon went on a 21-0 run against Brazil, but they still won the game, di ba? We're not as formidable as a Brazil to be able to come back if we give up that type of runs. Coach Tim burned 2 timeouts, di ba? In that 4 minute span.
In that 14-0 run or whatever. Yes, correct. So yun. Ako, hindi ko pa din ma-process. Kakatapos lang, still very fresh. I guess, do you have anything else to say about like this game? Kasi I want to talk about like key takeaways from this game, from the entire experience, and what's next for Gilas. So anything else you want to say before we move on to that segment?
I did. Junmar provided us with a very funny moment at the end of the game. I don't know if you guys noticed.
Yeah, I noticed that.
he tried to shake the hand of I forgot his name. Si Mendel ba o si Diaz? He tried to shake the hand and then tried to snatch the ball away and then laughed. I don't know if he meant to do it or if he was joking really or
I think he did. Kasi he tapped he tapped up the player after.
Maui, ang feeling ko parang yung nag-fail siya agawin. Sige na lang, nag-fail ako, yung tawa na lang ako. Yung parang kunwari good sportsmanship. Ewan ko, parang gano'n. But that was pretty funny to me. Junmar, thank you for that. Despite my sadness in the loss, napatawa mo ako, Junmar. Grabe.
alam naman natin na sabaw na tao yun si Junmar. Patawa din talaga yun, diba? So,
I think it was a Chris Paul move. Yung was Chris Paul the one who does that.
Chris Paul, I think so.
Chris Paul does that. So, kudos to you, Junmar. You gave me a smiling moment from that game.
By the way, si Raul Neto, also former NBA player, didn't play, diba?
Did not play kanina.
So, to be fair, they also were missing an NBA caliber talent sa team nila.
Or maybe they didn't want to play him. Kasi di ba si Huertas played a really good game. And si Yago also played the game, a game of his life.
Okay, sige.
Wait lang. Nung first quarter, the I thought they scouted Huertas pretty well, especially when they were running a pick and roll on offense. Chris Newsom kept on going under screens. I think he knew naman na Huertas is not a knockdown shooter by any means from 3, diba? Nah, he's not Steph Curry. So I think you're willing to give that up. For the most part of this game, despite si Huertas burning us in the fourth quarter, I thought Chris Newsom was awesome defensively. Yeah. Made timely doubles to force some turnovers on the Brazilian big men. For the most part, tried to recover as much as possible to Huertas whenever he'd get picked. It's just that no fourth quarter, it just all caught up. No, again, Junmar cannot go out on the perimeter, and I think Marcelino Huertas, with his age and his experience, took advantage of that. He knew that Junmar was not comfortable to go out to him on the perimeter, so he just kept on going to that mid-range jump shot over and over again. And when Junmar did try to contest, he just dumped it off to Caboclo for the roll. And masterful job talaga by Marcelino Huertas. Just masterful.
But I agree with Gab. They still did a good job on Huertas a while ago. He's just really very good also. You live with Huertas shooting 15 shots in a game, di ba? Kasi Huertas is not known to score naman. He's known to really be a very good facilitator.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the second half, he was doing both. Yeah, we were really getting burned. He was scoring and he was dumping it into Caboclo in the dunker spot, which led to a lot of very easy baskets.
Parang he had an answer every time we scored nung fourth quarter. Every time we tried to make a run in the fourth quarter, he had...
Yung sinabi mong 5-0 run, Sam, it was Huertas who made the shot.
Personal 7-0 run ata si Huertas nun, if I'm not missing, or something like that. By the way, to be fair to the Philippines, we fought sa rebounds. I think rebounding battle 43-40. So, despite losing Kai for the entire game dito, we fought for the rebounds. I think, again, worth mentioning pala si Japet Aguilar. I know he struggles. Obviously, he's 37 years old. He's probably going to struggle against more athletic guys. But I think, given that he was the only legit big man left that they could play, I think he was serviceable. Laban pa rin,
di ba, si Japet.
So, but probably might be one of his last then. Diba?
Yeah.
So
it
I
should
want to shout
be.
him out.
Hopefully, it's his last. Kawawa naman si Japet, di ba?
DJ Edu, please come back.
It should be his last.
DJ Edu, please come back.
Japet has probably been part of the team for probably 1.5 decades already, di ba? So it should be probably his last. I mean, they made him captain for a reason. But I just have to point out that's one of the parts of the game that we really struggled is yung part when we had to sit down Junmar in the second quarter and Japet was the one playing center. That was the time that we were really abused sa offensive rebounding. But despite that, saludo pa rin kay Japet, di ba? He's 37 years old, di ba? You don't see a lot of big man play till they're 40, di ba? We don't want another Asitaw Lava na kawawa naman that he has to keep on shooting up for the national team, di ba? We're hopeful that probably AJ Edu and a couple of players like Baltazar will be able to finally suit up again in the future, di ba? Kawawa naman si Japet. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Before we talk about our next segment, we have to talk about our other sponsor for today.
So this episode, despite our loss and we were not feeling the hype, this episode is brought to you by Hype 24/7 Fitness. Feel the hype if you have any hype. If you're a Brazilian, you probably feel the hype, but not if you're a Filipino.
Kaya kailangan mag-workout. Kailangan mag-gym para ma-hype up.
Meron pa rin akong hype. Diba? We're talking about the future in our next segment.
Tsaka mamaya na yung game ng Latvia and Cameroon. So, let's get hype for that. Siyempre, basketball is life, diba?
Sam, it's actually Slovenia-Greece right now.
Oo nga pala.
Luka versus
Giannis. Tama.
So, we can tune into that after this.
Okay. So, moving on to our next segment. I guess that's the question. I mentioned the question earlier, no? Ano yung key takeaway from this experience for Gilas and what's next? Kasi we mentioned it in the previous episode. Tim Cone said this is going to be a 4-year plan. I think, I was talking to Gab, I think the target is 2028 LA Olympics. So, what's next? What's something that they will take away from this experience, yung Gilas or si Coach Tim or the players? Maui, anong tingin mo?
Yeah.
Ano dapat take away natin dito?
I think this is one of our best performances, di ba? Probably this is up to par dun sa World Cup experience natin when we first got to the World Cup with Coach Chot, diba? Most of those games were very close games despite us only winning one game against Senegal. I think this is even better because we were finally able to get over the hump and beat a team in the top 10 and the European team for the first time in 6 decades, 64 years, diba? I think that's what I have 2 takeaways. That's the first one, that we belong. I think that's something that they realized. That's something that they showed during our showcase, during our performances in these last 3 games, diba? We have the talent, we have the coaching staff, we are ready. We are ready to go up, farther up. I'm hoping that this is not the climax, diba? Kasi that happened during the World Cup that we went with Coach Chot, the first World Cup. After that, it was all pretty much downhill, including that Australia brawl here in the Philippine arena. I'm hoping that we can finally build the momentum to make it to the top 20. We were, I think, 25 to 30 at peak during Coach Chot's tenure. I'm hoping that with Coach Tim, we can get to the top 20. We were able to beat world number 6, Latvia. We were able to go toe-to-toe against Brazil, which is the 13th team. We almost beat Georgia, which is also part of the top 25, if I'm not mistaken. So that's my first key takeaway. I think that I believe that we belong. I think that's something that our players also realize, especially si Chris Newsome, that we belong in the international stage. We are capable. We have the talent. That's something that they showed with their confidence these past 3 games. My second key takeaway, with all the injuries, with how depleted the lineup ended up in the end, I think it's time to start to expand the pool of Gilas Pilipinas. If
so
rumors
dun,
are correct,
dun ka pa rin sa side na we should expand the pool.
Yes, from the rumors that I've been hearing all around, this is the time that Coach Tim will probably start to expand the pool. We cannot have only 15 players, diba? Most of the countries have a pool of 30 or even more players because injuries happen. And there are times that players will not be available, diba? We have to have 30 players, at least 30 players who will understand Coach Tim's system, who will know how to play with the other players in the pool. I think this is the perfect time for us to start to expand the pool. Not just with yung players, local players that we have, not just with the players that are available like RJ Barrientos, like SJ Belangel, Balti Baltazar. I think we should start working also on the exceptions. Maybe we could get Ange Kwame to be eligible. Maybe we could get Balungay. Maybe we could get Mike Phillips and the likes of the other Phil-Ams who are going to go to the PBA and who really outperformed in the UAAP and NCAA. Not just that, I think that we should.
Isn't Ange Kwame eligible? Like
as a local
player?
Sorry, as a local. As a local player, maybe we could look at that exception, diba? Roosevelt Adams was granted an exception pretty quick. I think Newsome had to wait a long time to be able to get that exception. But look at how Newsome turned out right now. So I think that that's something that we have to work on. We have a 4-year timeline to work on to get to the LA Olympics. We have to be the best in our region. It's very hard to be able to qualify as a last chance qualifier. We have to be what Japan is right now. We have to be that team by 2027 or 2028. We have to qualify as the best in our region because the Olympic qualifying tournament is very brutal, diba? Imagine if we were in the same bracket as Luka and Giannis, like now, diba? They're in the Olympic qualifying team. So I really believe that they should expand yung horizon, not just with the players that we already know. They should try to get JJ Mananguit from the under-17 team of the USA basketball. They should try to get Dylan Harper, which is ranked 3. I think projected to go number 3 in the 2025 NBA draft. He has Philippine roots. And from what I hear, both of those players are Gilas eligible. They should look at Ron Harper Jr., diba? Another Phil-Am, the brother of Dylan Harper, as a potential player to get an exception also. With teams like Bahamas, with teams like France getting these types of exceptions, maybe if we're lucky, maybe Asia will be more lenient and maybe we get a wider pool of players. But regardless if we get those players, I believe that we should expand the pool. I think that's what's proven. Kasi kawawa rin yung team di ba? I mean, we had probably 3 or 4 players who were playing more than 30 minutes a game in this tournament. This is a tournament where we only had to play 3 games. We'll have tournaments that we'll have to play 6 games, di ba? Or we'll have tournaments that we'll have to really exhaust. We have a better options at the bench. We have to. This is the reason why teams like Brazil are also comeback kings, because they have players. They play more than 10 players, diba? Only their stars only play 25 plus minutes. I think that's something that we have to have, that luxury in the future. So hopefully they work on it. Gab.
My key takeaway from this World Cup is kudos to Coach Tim Cone. That's my first. One of the things that I observed from Coach Tim Cone in this World Cup is he's willing to make adjustments. Despite not making a defensive adjustment in the game a while ago, he did show that he is willing to adjust and even go with something that he's not comfortable with. Again, we talked about this in the Georgia game. Despite not practicing the zone and not willing and not liking to go zone, he went to a zone. And that's really from where we came from with Coach Chot, where I was so, you can watch our previous Gilas episodes in the past years. I was so frustrated with Coach Chot Reyes and his coaching staff because we never made adjustments throughout the past iterations of Gilas under Coach Chot. It's always we get beaten playing man-to-man and we don't adjust ever. We get beaten playing going under screens and just letting shooters shoot, and we never adjust. Diba? I think Sammy, you and Mao, you remember this. Mga ilang times yun sa mga FIBA qualifiers, Asia Cup qualifiers against Jordan, against Lebanon, wherein na-frustrate ako because we were getting killed by going under screens, and yet we don't adjust and still go under screens. At least si Coach Tim has shown that he is willing to adjust. And I like that. Na yes, it's not part of the game plan. It's not part of your coaching acumen, but you're willing to adjust. You have a lot of good coaches behind you who have a lot of basketball experience and basketball knowledge. And I think Coach Tim is willing to use that, and I applaud him for that. And I look forward to he said he has a 4-year plan. So I look forward to how he's going to handle hopefully a younger version of Gilas. And that is my next point. We have to get younger.
Yeah. So kind of similar to what Maui said, actually. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yung kind of similar. Pero I want to look back at, that timeout that been circulating around social media against the Poland game. I think it was against the Poland game where Coach Tim was berating his team and calling them, "You guys look old out there." And in my head, Coach, they are old. What are you talking about? So, yeah, it's not just expanding the pool, Maui. Pero kasi pwede ka ma-expand the pool, pero puro matatanda pa rin yung ilagay mo dun, diba? Expand the pool, include younger players. By 2028, just ko, if Japet Aguilar and Junmar Fajardo are still the main guys in our front court, I will lose my mind.
Kahit si Brownlee is 36 years old.
Oh,
yeah.
Despite seeing a 41-year-old Marcelino Huertas pick and roll us to death a while ago, I don't want that to be the majority of our team. Maybe we could have one. Maybe Junmar can be a backup center in 2028 or 2027 when the qualifiers and when the Olympics come in. Pero please, if Junmar is still starting by that time, maawa na kayo kay Junmar. Just ko naman, he has a ton of miles on those legs. Diba sa PBA, may games na hindi nga siya nagsasub eh. Maawa na kayo kay Junmar. Hopefully, yeah, we get younger guys. Kai Soto, I think he's a shoe-in. Diba? He's a shoe-in. He's always gonna be our center of the future. Si AJ Edu. And who else? Ange Kwame, he's eligible as a naturalized player. If Mike Phillips gets an exception, maybe you can put Mike Phillips in. there are a lot of options if we just work at it. Yung tama si Maui. Second thing, we have to think about the roster construction more. It bewilders me that we only have 3 guards. 4 if you include Scotty. The, the Philippines has no shortage of guards. We have so many guards. We have so many point guards. We have so many shooters. We have so many shooting guards. Why is there not even a young guy mixed in there, a true point guard yung mixed in there, despite the good job that Chris Newsom did in this Olympic qualifying tournament? It still bewilders me na 4 lang silang guards sa pool. And you felt the lack of guards, I think. Chris Newsom, Dwight Ramos played 30 plus minutes each. I don't think you'd want that for in a span of time. You play 3 games in how many nights? That was like 3 days or 2 days pa nga lang, diba? So yeah, we have to get younger. We just have to get younger. We have to get players who can match up with the speed, can match up with the athleticism of other teams, and have the endurance to go at it for this brutal schedule. Because really, the schedule is brutal. I think it's meant to be brutal. It's meant to test the endurance of every one of these players on every single team. So yeah, I mean, you saw Junmar kanina. Diyos ko, hirap na siya habulin si Caboclo up and down the floor. We have to really get younger. Sammy.
Yeah, kind of similar to what you and Maui said about getting younger. I think for me, yung takeaway talaga dito is like seeing the guys that play basically the whole game, diba? There are really guys that get tired na, sabi mo si June Mercy na Brownlee. So it's really trying siguro for me is paano ba? Parang succession planning basically is trying to ano bang plan ni Coach Tim. I think it's related to what you guys said, diba? It's about expanding the pool and trying to get younger guys. I think Coach Tim is an amazing coach. I think he has a great plan. I will trust his 4-year plan. So if he tells me na it's going to be 12 players, 15 players, okay, I will trust you. I've seen the results. Siguro for me, if you're not going to expand, kasi I'm not yet sure, diba? That's why I asked you, Maui. Coach Tim, if you're not going to expand, how do you get like the other guys more reps, maybe, or get more familiar with the system so that they build their confidence? Kasi I think like one of the guys from this tournament that really stood out or looked so different versus the previous tournament for me, CJ Perez. He has proven to be, actually, no first game, medyo hindi pa siya solid, but he has sort of proven his worth or his spot dito. Whereas nung previous tournament, he could barely play or barely get minutes. So, I think that was really good. Obviously, Kai, we've been talking about Kai. Although we all realized that Kai wasn't playing well nung previous tournament because of the back injury. But definitely Kai has shown that he can really compete and he deserves the minutes. Sa akin lang, for example, like KQ and Tamayo, I really think they can contribute more. And I really think they have the potential to be stars of the Gilas team. I guess it's more of getting them reps. Obviously, they're younger compared to the others, and helping them integrate them into the system. So it's developing those guys. Kasi tama kayo like after 4 years, kung if we're going to play Junmar 30 plus minutes, Justin Brownlee 30 plus minutes at age 40, medyo mahirap. As much as we love Junmar and Justin Brownlee, like we can't rely on them forever, diba? So it's more of that. Like, how do we push the other young guys to take the next level? Whether we expand the pool or not, ha? So I'm assuming na hindi ma-expand yung pool. Let's say 15. So I'm assuming if he sticks to like 15 guys, how do we push the other guys to take it to the next level? just like Kai Soto, just like CJ Peros in this tournament. I, I think I think Coach Tim can do it. Definitely. I just
Yeah.
think may onting tulak pa doon. And then we wouldn't be so reliant on Junmar and Justin Brownlee playing and Dwight Ramos playing most of the game. Maui, go ahead. Were you
Yeah.
saying something?
Yeah, I think the good thing about Coach Tim is, I mean, including Amos, including KQ, including Camayo,
Actually, yung
uh,
tatlong yun
he,
no?
he, he, ano, he had a mix of veterans and young players, di ba? Kasi I think that's one of my frustrations also with Coach Chot, di ba? There were times that we were all playing PBA players. We weren't putting young guys in the pool, di ba? Kasi if you want to be a program who succeeds continuously, you'll have to mix and match, di ba? You have to be able to build that consistency, to be able to continue to build players who are capable for the national team. You have to mix players, di ba? Young players also in the pool. That's why I believe that Coach Tim will expand his pool. Kasi he's willing to include these guys, di ba? I'm sure that he's willing to include other young guys. I'm sure that he's also willing to include other older guys who probably fit the system. But I think one of the most important things that we have to really that I want is to preach is patience with this team, di ba? We overperformed during this tournament. We can easily underperform in the next tournament. We have to trust Coach Tim. I think that's something that he earned with the championship in Asia Cup ba, and I think Asian Games, and I think this one, the good performance in an Olympic qualifier with these type of caliber level of teams, diba? I think that's something that he earned. He earned the leeway to be able to not be successful every time. I think we have to trust the process, that 4-year plan. That's something that was very frustrating rin kasi I think too many fans, including us, diba, nung time ni Coach Chot, palit, balik. So parang there wasn't, diba, there wasn't it didn't look like that there was a plan for the future.
Yeah.
It's like we were finding band-aid solutions. It's like there were tournaments that were like 2 to 3 weeks away and the lineup was still not constructed, diba, who will play.
Yeah.
I think that's something that we have to improve on. We have to be ready for every tournament. But there could be tournaments that we will underperform. I think, but the main goal will be to get to the LA Olympics, and I think that we should trust this coaching staff to be able to take us there. They earned that enough for me, in my opinion.
Yeah, tama ka. Good point yung kay Coach Chot. To be fair to Coach Chot also, he wasn't consistently the coach, or he wasn't consistently handling the program. Obviously, they had a stint with Coach Tab, diba? And then bumalik si Coach Chot and whatever. So that was also difficult. I was gonna say something. Yeah, good point on Coach Tim.
That was still his fault though for fighting against Australia. So
yeah, but hindi natuloy-tuloy yung program, 'di ba? So what Maui was saying, like,
hindi solely on Coach Chot.
So hopefully,
diba? Maraming faults.
Program din.
Maraming faults si Coach Chot, but it's not all on him kasi they didn't have a clear direction or plan for the program. We were lucky that we even got to the Olympic qualifiers.
I was gonna say also, I think given yung resume ni Coach Tim, winning the Asian Games, surprising performance here. If we're talking about expanding the pool, that's a good pitch for players that Coach Tim will be tapping, di ba? Like, look what we did with this type of lineup, and look how other guys have stepped up or have grown through this Gilas program. Kasi you also want Gilas to be an attractive program, di ba? I think in the previous Gilas iterations, may maraming mga news na, I wanna join Gilas pero this is my rate. I'm gonna ask for this much. May mga ganung diba, chismis. So I think with this one, it makes joining the Gilas program more attractive, especially with what has Coach Tim has done so far. So hopefully if they do expand and Coach Tim will tap young and talents, local or foreign based Filipinos, sana they would say yes, 'di ba? Maui, yung mga targets mo, mga anak ni Harper, 'di ba? Sana they would say yes. That's what we're hoping for. So, I guess that's it for today's episode.
Oh, no,
Gab,
wait. Anong, why you ending?
okay,
We're
okay,
done.
okay, okay, okay. Sasabihin ko sana,
Oh,
any last words, Gab?
I was just gonna say, I am gonna eat my words a bit and say that, yeah, I just love seeing the triangle offense, and I had my doubts about the triangle offense going
Ako
into
rin.
the
Ako rin kinain
tournament.
ko.
Diba? Oh, diba? Diba?
Sabi naman ni
Aminin
Coach
natin.
Tim, a lot of people
Aminin natin.
doubted it.
Because
Everybody
really, in
doubted
this
it.
day and age of basketball, the triangle offense not really run as much. Diba? I don't think anyone in the NBA runs a strict triangle offense or any sort of hybrid triangle offense. No one does. Even international basketball, you can see with the amount of teams competing in these Olympic qualifying tournaments, no one really runs a triangle. No one runs an offense through the post. Diba? It's a lot from the perimeter. Just take a look at Brazil. No, that's how they play. That's how modern basketball is played. But Coach Tim stuck to his triangle. A lot of people were commenting that it's antiquated already. It doesn't fit the modern basketball. But coming from where we came from, the dribble drive offense, I think this is a hell of an improvement. Sorry, I keep on looking back. Just watching this, how Gilas plays now. You medyo masaya na ako because there's ball movement. In that first half a while ago against Brazil, a lot of the points we got were off ball movement and opportunities provided within the flow of the offense. It wasn't anything na, okay, one-on-one, wala, pick and roll, wala pa rin, sige, let's force up a shot. That's how we played dati. Now, it's, okay, we're gonna give it to the post, and then there's gonna be some off-ball action, and that's where we get our offense. So, I'm really happy that the triangle offense proved its worth to me and to a lot of basketball fans out there. You tumawi up. And I hope Coach Tim continues to improve on it. Don't change who you are, Coach Tim. Just keep on running the triangle, maybe have some tweaks here and there. Adjust. You've proven that you can adjust, so I hope you adjust. Kudos to the
Gab,
triangle offense.
I think after so many years, hindi na siya magpapalit nun.
Oo. Sabi ko, yung as a Laker fan myself since the Kobe and Shaq days, heck, I'm a fan. So, let's do it. Let's go.
Kala mo namatay na yung triangle offense with those era of the Lakers, diba? But it's Coach Tim has been able to make it work. So, we have to trust the process with Coach Tim.
Si Coach
Ball
Tim,
movement
si
eh.
Ted
Ball
Lasso
movement.
diba?
Man movement. Good reference, sabi. But yeah, it's
na-discover niya yung
everything
triangle offense.
ball movement and man movement, and I'm all for it. If he has to teach it to younger players, go ahead, Coach Tim. You have 4 years to do so.
Yeah.
Teka lang.
Okay. That's it for... Oh, Gab, baka may ihahabol ka pa ulit bago ko i-end yung
Wala
video.
na.
Okay.
Pero malungkot pa rin ako. Pero
malungkot. Kaya nga, ayoko na pag-usapan to. Medyo bad.
Ako hype pa rin. Hype pa
Talaga,
rin ako.
Maui? Okay.
We still outperform. A
That's
lot.
true,
By
that's
a lot. By a mile for my expectations, di ba?
That's true. Okay. That's it for today's episode. Panoorin na lang natin the rest of the qualifying tournament. Diba? Marami pa tayong mga exciting games out there. We'll see you again next time. Hopefully, mas hype na tayo sa next talk natin about Gilas. We'll still cover the UAAP, obviously. So, don't forget to comment below what your thoughts. Like the video, subscribe, share with your friends. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.